In order to power the city, monsters have to scare children so that they scream. However, the children are toxic to the monsters, and after a child gets through to two monsters, realize things may not be what they think. Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review, and this time it's the movie Monsters Inc. This movie came out back in 2001. It's rated at the top 230th spot of best movies of all time. Really? Really? It has won one Oscar, has 15 wins, and 38 more nominations. The directors of this movie is David Silverman, Lee Unkrich, and Pete Docter. Pete Docter is also one of the writers, and the other two writers are Jill Colton and Jeff Pigeon. The main voice cast in this is Billy Crystal, John Goodman, Mary Gibbs, Steve Buscemi, James Coburn, Jennifer Tilly, Bob Peterson, John Ratzenberger, Frank Oz, Daniel Gilson, Steve Suskind, Bonnie Hunt, Jeff Pigeon, Samuel Lord Black, Jack Angel, Bob Bojan, Wadjo Bumpus, Gino Conforti. Sometimes I can't read my own bloody writing. Doesn't happen often, but it sometimes does. Steve Suskind. There you go. Can read that D at the end though until now. Okay, so my thoughts on this movie. To me personally, it's a really good movie. We'll talk about where it falls flat. But first of all, let's get the best out of the way, and that would have to be the voice cast. I think for what they were given, they actually did a great job. Billy Crystal, John Goodman, I love their acting. Steve Buscemi. Sometimes Steve Buscemi is a genius. Other times he's a hack. And this time around, he was actually a genius. He really was, as a voice actor. Yeah, and so I have no complaints about the voice cast whatsoever. Nope. Next best thing for its time and type, the graphics. Graphics, no. Animation. Sorry, animation. It's an anime movie. The animation is actually great. And before I continue on everything else, I gotta note something. I did not just watch this. No, I just watched Catch Me If You Can. But this movie I watched about a week ago. This is where I took my break from the TV show Friends, and I watched a few movies. This was one of the movies that I watched about a week ago. And so I'm basing it off of what I remember from a week ago. I'm not going to be watching this again, considering the fact I just watched it. Just a week ago. A couple of days ago, if you will. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, the animation is actually, for its time and type, is actually pretty damn awesome. Now, where this movie falls flat for me, is the storyline aspect. Yeah, that's where I find where it falls flat. The plot, there's nothing special about it. It's just on the borderlines of decent. That's it. Decent. And it was written pretty well. I have to give them kudos for that. The plot was written pretty well. But that being said, it could have been written a lot better. They could have come up with a better storyline for this type of a plot. Yeah, they could have. They could have. So, I'm kind of like on the edge with the plot and the story on this movie. But yet, no. It was written really well. It's just the plot was the worst thing about this movie. It was just decent. Like I said, nothing great. Yeah. And at times in this movie, they did stuff. They did a few scenes that's kind of like, oh, come on. Really? 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 That's what you're doing with this storyline. Yes, you're using monsters, but this type of a storyline has been done before. It has been done to death. And not in animated movies, but in other movies. It had been done to death. And why? Why? Yeah. And I think that's my major issue with the movie is because of that aspect. What else to talk about? It is a comedy movie as well. Comedy. I have to say, it's not that funny. It's not. It's supposed to be a comedy movie. It's supposed to be comedic. And was the parts where I did laugh? I think there was 2 times, if I remember right. And this is me basing it on what I saw about a week ago. 2 times I believe I laughed at this movie. It was actually a little bit funny. But that was it. That was it. I do know that this movie has a sequel, prequel, if you will. I have seen it. And it's really more of a prequel to this movie. Yeah. And eventually I will get to that movie and I'll tell you my thoughts about that movie. But I can't do that right now because this was the first one that came out, so I can't compare the two. When I get to the prequel, that's when I'll compare the two. Yeah. So, IMDb with all the users combined gives this movie an 8.1 out of 10. An 8.1. I totally disagree with that. And it's at the top 230th spot as one of the best movies of all time. Really? Really? I totally disagree with that. To me personally, it's not. It's not that great as they're claiming it to be of a movie. If there's people out there that love this movie to death, that's great. That's fine with me. We all have our own opinions. We have our own differences about this movie. But I'm just letting you know from my perspective. And like I said, 8.1 with all the users combined. What rating would I give this movie? I give this movie a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. It's a really good movie. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. There's just a few things bad about it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this movie. And if you... I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And if you love this movie or didn't love this movie, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts are. I always love in comments whether you love the movie or hate it. You can like this video if you like this review. And you can subscribe to my channel if you love my content. So thank you all for taking time to watch. And join me next time for another movie review I take to do soon. I am out.